The remaining attack time is 9 minutes. The Chimera Dragon was controlled by the two children's taming and started to cry out in pain. The Chimera Dragon sucked in all the air around it. The Chimera Dragon sucked in even my magic and started to open its huge snout towards me. It was a dark magic power. A huge sphere of light was created between the ferocious fangs. It was a weapon that only a dragon, the peak of monsters, could use. The breath. I was hit by the breath and my body was torn apart again. It was a shock that caused the mind to break down. Despite this shock, my body was still alive. The party members were shocked by my miserable appearance, but they shouldn't stop. I straightened my ripped lips and said, "Continue. If they didn't do it now, there wouldn't be another chance. A few constellations have noticed your sacrifice. Many constellations are amazed by your will." The Chimera Dragon was exhausted by the use of its breath, and its huge body lay on the ground. Fortunately, the Chimera Dragon sucked in the worst of my rampaging magic power, but the attack power of my party members was decreasing. DM, I'm out of magic power. The remaining capture time is 5 minutes. My preparations for dealing with the 73rd Demon King were up to here, so from now on, I should leave it to someone else. Kim Dokja. Yu Jung-hyuk had risen from the stone wall and was watching me. I saw that Lee Solhwa was exhausted by his side. She had probably poured all of her magic power into healing him. I saw many emotions cross his eyes as he identified me as the Demon King. Don't make such an expression. You can't change what has already happened. Don't you already know? Yu Jung-hyuk wiped his bloody lips and murmured, "It should have been me who died here." Fortunately, Yu Jung-hyuk was Yu Jung-hyuk. He already accepted that he would have to kill me. Yu Jung-hyuk rushed towards me with the heaven-shaking sword. Every hit made me feel that my physical strength had been reduced. He didn't say anything, but his despair was conveyed every time the blade cut me. The remaining capture time is 4 minutes. For us, we weren't even allowed time to feel that despair. Let's end it now, Yu Jung-hyuk. Bring that out. I don't know what you mean. Don't play around. I know you didn't use it on purpose. If I use this, you can't be resurrected. That's why you're going to use it. It would be difficult if I came back again as a Demon King. What if the scenario ends up being ruined? You should stop thinking about it. Yu Jung-hyuk glared at me without speaking. Do you have an idea? I just laughed at his question. Yu Jung-hyuk hesitated before eventually pulling out a sword. The heavenly sword of gathering clouds. Ame no Murakumo no Tsurugi. That was close, but... The heavenly sword of gathering clouds. Ame no Murakumo no Tsurugi. It was a sword obtained from Yamato no Orochi and Peaceland. Yu Jung-hyuk spoke in a somber voice. I hoped the moment where I had to use this would never come. Me too. However, now's the time. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire feels despair. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is sighing deeply. The constellation Queen of the Darkest Spring is holding her breath. The power acquired by a story will eventually collapse because of a story. My attribute of 8 lives was derived from the power of Yamato no Orochi. This power was bound to be vulnerable to the weapon of death that killed Yamato no Orochi. Perhaps I would lose all my remaining lives if I was cut by this sword. Yu Jung-hyuk opened his mouth. To be honest, there's no certainty in this. The duration of giant body transformation is over, and I'm not confident in my current attack power. Don't worry about it. I could see Shin Yu-sung furiously shaking her head towards me. The constellation who doesn't yet have a name has given his incarnation a stigma. There was a dazzling light, and my stigma nestled inside Shin Yu-sung. The stigma, Sacrifice's Will, Level 1, has been activated. The stigma caused a brilliant glow to emerge from Shin Yu-sung's body. The master of the stigma risks his life for others. The attack power of the party is greatly increased in proportion to the desperation of their lives. The exhausted eyes of my party members started to become energetic again. Sacrifice is a will. It was a stigma that didn't really suit me. One thing was for certain, my death was now confirmed. Thank you for everything. The remaining capture time is 3 minutes. The party members were running. Li Hyang-sung, Chung Hee-won, Shin Yu-sung, Li Gil-young, Yu-sanga, Gong Pildu, Li Ji-hee. They cried, screamed, or were filled with deep anger. Everyone was coming towards me. My vision gradually diminished, and all the characters became the landscape. I saw them and laughed. Incarnation Kim Dokcha will be killed by the person he loves most. I had forgotten. All prophecies in the star stream couldn't be interpreted literally. In this star stream, people were stories. The constellation Secretive Plotter is looking at you. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is looking at you. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is looking at you. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is looking at you. The constellation Maritime War God is looking at you. As the cases of countless stars in the sky poured towards me, a story was running towards me. Parents, friends, and lovers were all stories. The remaining capture time is 2 minutes. This wasn't the Ways of Survival I knew, but it was a story more wonderful than Ways of Survival. A constellation of a small planet is looking at you. All the constellations of the Korean peninsula are looking at you. It was my story. I laughed as Yoo Jung-hyuk's sword pierced my heart. Your fate has been realized. My body slowly sank down, and Yoo Jung-hyuk held on to me. Kim Dokcha. It was a really great story. Isn't that right? Yoo Jung-hyuk stared down at me silently. I couldn't find any words and just watched. It was as if I had always been meant to do this. The effect of the heavenly sword of gathering clouds has destroyed all remaining extra lives. You can no longer resurrect. I finally looked up at the sky. The clusters of nebula were in the center of the night sky. Vedus, Olympus, Papyrus. I would never forget what they had done. Then the sky blinked. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband doesn't wish for your death. The stars shone brightly, as if in response to my will. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon doesn't wish for your death. The constellation Secretive Plotter doesn't wish for your death. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire doesn't wish for your death. I looked at the sky and laughed. Due to these guys, I hated the constellations, but I couldn't hate the story. Let's meet again, Yoo Jung-hyuk. The power of the Demon King disappeared, and at the same time, strength drained from me. The main scenario has ended. Soul Dome has been freed. A small black hole appeared in the air behind me. My body was slowly being sucked into it. My legs, my torso, my arms, they turned into powder and were slowly being sucked in. Kim Dokcha! No! Kim Dokcha! At the last moment, he held me tightly by the neck. However, it was already too late. My vision turned black, and I was sucked into an empty void. The eyes of the constellations watching me started to disappear one by one. I was leaving the area of the channel. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire doesn't wish for your death. In the distant night sky, one star desperately blinked at me. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire doesn't wish for your death. Yes, you can stop now, Uriel. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire. Thank you. The stars in the night sky went out one by one, and Incarnation Kim Dokcha's story finally ended. The constellations of the absolute good system have withdrawn the mark of evil from you. Your incarnation body has been completely destroyed. You have failed the scenario. You have been expelled from the scenario. The star stream will announce your modifier. In the faraway darkness, the star stream was quietly whispering to me. Your modifier is the Demon King of Salvation.